Hey there, Vermont. This is going to be a small, new scale power, small modular reactors, advanced, scalable, flexible, and economic. And here are the creators of this presentation. Because I brought up small modular reactors as a alternative to the decarbonization methods of Vermont presentation that many of us have either gone to or have heard through the grapevine or through the massive amount of marketing for their to reach their 100% renewable energy goals. Basically, 7 CEOs that are within the renewable energy business ecosystem. A $500 million, a year carbon taxes, fossil fuel, banning of natural gas in the near future, banning of all fossil fuels in the near future. This is a little more of a common sense approach that Vermont can consider. We have to get through the mindset of the vast advances in nuclear energy, as well as, rather than the big pictured large-scale nuclear power plants of the past, this is a much smaller, much more scalable, far less expensive approach into the 21st century, while providing the stability to Vermont's electric grid, as well as bringing Vermont back out of a deep hole of debt, this downsizing crisis management of trying to get the budget balanced and back in a positive direction, as well as creating awesome, good-paying jobs. And I'm just going to walk you through this slide. I'm not going to waste too much time on this, but there's been some really good questions by a lot of individuals, and I'm just going to walk through the slide so that way you can see the difference, the scalability, the size, the massive differences between what individuals have in their mindset, kind of stuck in the 60s, 70s, 80s nuclear power picture versus the new 21st century scalable with renewable energy within the grid. Something to think about. So here we go. Let's walk through this slide. And this was presented back in July 25th, 2017. So this is kind of like the new design. And let me just kind of click through. So here is some of the presentation. Okay, now I want you to kind of key in on the numbers here, because hi there, Mina Aldulamilatas. Boy, that's a I hope I didn't massacre your last name, Mina. For my first attempt, I hopefully get it. Here we go. So anyways, back to the presentation. So we're going to this is something that Vermont should definitely consider. The Department of Energy is looking at a lot of these new smaller scale nuclear power facilities across the country. I'm going to go to the next slide. So this is a nice graphic. Some hard work has gone into this design, and there's one graphic that's coming up here that I really want you to focus on, because it does completely blow the mindset of what many individuals have in their head of nuclear power versus the new 21st century, 22nd century and beyond approach. It's much smaller, scalable, allows renewable energy moving forward. Here we go. So this is the blazing the trail to commercialization. These are some of the awards that they've, you know, it was in simulator status here. U.S. Department of Energy SMR grant. They're climbing, and we're already into, what is it, basically 2019, we're right about here. And this is, what, 2025? They've already got, hold on, let me see what we got. Here we go. There. Let's go through some of the accomplishments, the pre-application accomplishments. This is a lot of time, money, and effort that's been researched to design these new nuclear power reactors. A proven energy source that can last 30 years off of a very small amount of resource, a lot more environmental friendly, maintains the carbon tax and not the carbon tax, maintains the low carbon emissions goals, actually beats them. And then this is the other graphic that I want you to see. This is, I think I've shown this prior, but this breaks down the size. Okay, so that's one module right there. This is the crane process. This is where it goes, that they can use and get the energy out of that one module for several years. This is kind of the simplicity, the breakdown of how it works, your natural convention of cooling, the conduction, the convention, how it works, and we're going to be going more in depth on a presentation of some of the actual, well, here's this. This is kind of a quick walkthrough. The innovative advancements to reactor safety. Here's the water cooling stage. And I realize a lot of individuals may not quite, there's your boiling phase, the air cooling, the lower cost of nuclear power. It is a much more scalable approach. And here's some of the renewable energies that you can plug into see the flexible, more baseload electricity generation. There's your industrial wind turbines, your industrial wind turbine farms. Okay, there's your oil refineries. Here's your hydrogen production. This is your desalinization. And anybody that does not know I'm stumbling on that word, I apologize. Basically taking seawater and turning it into potable drinking water. That's something that we had to utilize in the U.S. Naval Submarine Service. When you're surrounded by an ocean, you need to utilize the water around you. So there's a process that you can completely desalinize. You know what I'm trying to say? Desalinization of seawater, salt water, into potable drinking water. And then we've got the reliable power. It breaks it down to, and I probably should get this. So there's your industrial wind turbine at 57.6 megawatts. Okay, we've got the reliable power mission for critical facilities, the new scale. It's a 12 module plant, 100 megawatts, and it's actually much more stable, larger scale as well. And let me go to the graphic that I really want to get to is just the size and the scalability. Well, this is some of the questions we had with our interview with Pat McDonald on Vote for Vermont last week. The reliability of critical infrastructure. Basically, mission critical facility, which is, a hospital. Because the renewable energy sources that a lot of, they're not telling you some of the issues. I mean, they love to sell you the dream that renewable energy can power America. You've probably recently heard the estimates of, some of the far left that are announcing the $93 trillion renewable energy makeover for America, which is proven to be just off the scale of sustainability, let alone affordability. And back to the graphic, I want to discuss. Here's the load following capability. Okay, they're showing you an industrial wind turbine farm out in Idaho Falls. I want to get right to the slide though. Here we go. Here's one. Whoops, sorry. Okay, so the project will create 1,000 construction jobs at a peak for a duration of 2 to 3 years. There's some more. There's another look at the diagram, the breakdown of the new design of the reactor. That's a pretty nice salary, $85K a year. There's a lot of economic benefits to that. 12,000 manufacturing jobs. Vermont's economy stinks right now. Number 50 GDP, and they're basically in this panic budget downscale mode across the state, kind of crisis mode, downsizing schools, consolidating. Let's get back to the presentation. I want to get to the graph here. All right, so these are potential manufacturing locations. And if you see right there, that's up in, I gotta locate, let's see, where is that one? But Vermont doesn't have really any options in here. Vermont Yankee was a property, and Vermont benefited from several years of being in the black when it comes to their budgets, with a surplus, and we are consistently in the let's see, what's this graphic? Potential construction sites. Okay, here I'm going to just show these sites here. Okay, they've got 2 out in Washington. Everything's down in the major populated areas pretty much, with the exception, boy, New England's looking a little sparse up there. And there is certainly a lot of opportunity, because Vermont is, like I said, constantly dealing with. Okay, so here's some operation costs. Your average annual wage for staff is $71,800 for coal. Natural gas is $75. New scale power plant is $89. Okay, we've got associate's degree, vocational military, 170, high school diploma, BS engineering, BS engineering, Bachelor of Science engineering, MIS, in order to run the plants. That's a very good starting point on top of all of the construction jobs. Let's go to the next slide. Now that's just some of the, oh, here we go. I did that. I apologize. Hold on. Let's go to the others. All right. So there's continuing work. I want to get to the slide though. Hold on. I got to scoot. We're not missing much here. It's just more of a breakdown. Some of the locations, the states. None of them in Vermont. Some of them over in the UK already. The United Kingdom. England. Where's that slide? Oh, maybe that is the end. Hold on, I gotta go back. Get back out of this. Boom. Okay. Oh, that's where, I apologize. I wanted to walk through that, and then I wanted to show you. Here we go. This is the graphic I'm looking for right here. Okay, that's the old nuclear estate, facility, mass or whatever. This is the new, the small modular reactor size compared to old school, new school, old school, new school. Okay, little fun with that. But this is the mindset that a lot of individuals, whenever you bring up nuclear power, especially here in Vermont, many of them stuck in that mindset of the past, the amount of real estate that has to be eaten up, which is far less than 200 miles of Green Mountain ridgeline to install about 19 industrial wind turbine farms and 30,000 acres of solar farms. So this model is an option that fits the size of Vermont, because Vermont is a small state, 600,000. We live next to New Hampshire, about the same size state, a little over 1 million. We got Massachusetts down here, big old metropolis, Boston. Anything west of Boston is, you know, they've got several communities, not quite the size of the cities of Boston. Then you got Connecticut, Little Rhode Island, and then way over on the east, the big old state of Maine. And I say that lovingly for any Maine residents. I'm just saying on the scale, Maine, you could basically sit Maine, or you could fit Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and you could probably just about plop it right into the whole state of Maine. And that's just a guesstimation. So, but back to the presentation. I'm going to flip the script. There's the NuScale power module, okay? A lot smaller than past reactors. And on March 23rd, 2019, at the State House, we're going to put together it is going to be kind of the same situation as the Decarbonization Methods of Vermont presentation, which the State of Vermont paid $120,000 to a consulting firm to piece together that presentation to discuss the 200 plus miles of industrial wind turbine farms, the 30,000 acres, pardon me, the $500 million carbon tax climate change initiatives in the number 50 smallest carbon footprint state of the United States. You've got California. Well, actually, first you got Texas number 1, California number 2, Pennsylvania number 3. Vermont could certainly benefit from this technology. We could avoid the unbelievable painful tax code. Well, it's already painful as it is. Vermont's tax code, we're number 6 and climbing rapidly fast due to the fact of some past not so great decisions. Many of you Bernie Sanders supporters probably love that single-payer universal pitch. However, when Vermont was the experiment, it blew up the state budget rapidly to the point that Vermont could no longer afford it, and we're still in debt several generations at this point. We put together a group in order to piece together a far more common sense approach for Vermont to move into the 21st century, as well as create some good paying jobs, because of this hatred, I guess, from stable technologies that have actually advanced. They're definitely very regulated, okay? They have been through many, many years of development. But now we have this whole new 21st century going forward with nuclear power, which is proving to be, or is, let's just say this, in reality, it is exactly what states California, Arizona, Texas, that designed these big industrial wind turbine farm projects, these huge solar panel farms, realizing that renewable energy is not going to cut it, especially getting America into the 21st century and beyond, getting Vermont into the 21st century and beyond, and actually balancing a budget again, restoring the state to profitability, allowing businesses to actually still grow in the state of Vermont, because Vermont has 96% of Vermont is all small businesses, as far as on a, the profitability scales. We do have some retired multimillionaires. Maybe there might be a billionaire in there too. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't go into checking, the top 1%. I do kind of mimic Bernie Sanders slightly about it, because he tends to beat up on the top 1% while finding creative ways to funnel money away from the middle class and the poor. He has 3 homes. He's obviously raising enough money from donations to run for president in 2020. Meanwhile, there's a lot of Vermonters that are definitely not benefiting from 30 plus years of only 3, that's right, 3. Can you see that, 3? 3 bills that he has sponsored, written into legislation. And there was a Bernie Sanders supporter last night that I guess wanted to fact check me and call me out on it, and so I basically assisted her, because let's face it, many of them do not want to face that reality that their socialist, their Democrat socialist rock star is probably not going to win in 2020. She definitely missed the fact that, although there's a portion of our youth that thinks socialism is all that in a bag of chips, but many of them haven't, 1, lived in socialism, 2, there's completely missed history. They missed the collapse of the Soviet Union in 91. Now it's under Vladimir Putin, slightly modified communist, model now. Then you got China with Hong Kong, back when it was a colony of Britain, has now been transitioned into the communist, modified, let's use capitalism in order to maintain communism/socialism. And then we got the more recent collapse of Venezuela, 2 heroes of Bernie Sanders, Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro, as well as, the Castro family down in Cuba. Bernie Sanders is well known for, I guess they're his socialist heroes. He's based his models off of that, as well as popping all over the planet. And hi there, Ellen Parker, how are you? So anyway, this is a teaser again of the presentation coming up on March 23rd, 2019 at the State House in Montpelier. JT Dodge, several other speakers will be there, breaking down some of the future, or let's just say, the more common sense approach to bringing Vermont into the future, getting Vermont back in the black the way it used to be in past decades, and not doing this this climate change apocalypse fear-mongering that's been going on just a little too long. You know, panicking our kids, making them feel like mom and dad, you know, don't love them, let alone their grandparents, and that we're not concerned about the environment or their futures, which anybody that loves their kids, I mean, hey there, Tom. Oh my God, Tom Ivory. How you been there, brother? I know you're down. Are you still down in Pennsylvania? Now listen, I brought up a statistic about Pennsylvania. It's not necessarily negative. It's just helping to clarify this new climate change apocalypse. But anyway, that's what's coming up in March 23rd, 2019 at the State House. JT Dodge, I think Skylar Bailey will be there. I will be there. We're kind of hoping Desiree Marin. She was a candidate up in Colchester. Put together a fun little taxpayer poem, as well as, I mean, she's definitely, she was an outstanding candidate, and she's a hardworking mom with two little princesses up and coming in the present Vermont academia environment, which, like I was saying, is kind of going on a downsizing. A couple colleges just recently announced that they're no longer going to be colleges. Down in Bennington, there's this, this money crunching, downsizing. We made some seriously bad, horrible decisions in the past. How are we going to correct them? And right now, we kind of don't like the far left approach. Way too much taxation already on the number six and climbing rapidly. If you ever spend any time up here in Vermont, you'll just take a look at your grocery bills, or go out to dinner, or when you're out having a drink or whatever, you will see a very interesting little list, depending where you are in the state of Vermont, of taxes on top of the, like I said, these carbon taxes that they're pitching of $1 and $2 on diesel and heating oil. 89, it's either 89 or 88, because they do it 88 point whatever, so we just rounded up to 89 cents on gasoline, and then 58 cents on propane and natural gas. A multi-tiered approach, even in the commodity market. It's just like a never-ending, let's just completely beat up on the fossil fuels, on top of the fact that you need some of the fossil fuels just to run these industrial wind turbine farms and many of these solar farms. And this is what needs to be plugged back into that energy portfolio so Vermont can stop the panic, budget crisis, downsizing, and the climate change 12-year plan, the world's going to end apocalypse approach. So, and I know you won't be able to, unless you drive up from Pennsylvania there, Tom. You and the wife come on up to Vermont. We'll show you how taxes are generated in one of the most taxed states with the smallest carbon footprint, number 50. And that's what I'll refer to. Pennsylvania sitting at number 3. You're on the high end there. You better start addressing that carbon emission process down there. And Texas is number 1, California is number 2, and you guys coming to a rock solid number 3. So pay attention. There's this new climate change apocalypse coming your way in 12 short years. They've got a completely new beauty queen pushing that concept with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And, of course, our socialist, Democrat socialist rock star, Bernie Sanders, feel the burn from the burn, one of the trifecta of deflecta. That is, now that he's destroyed Vermont, he's out to destroy a great nation. So anyway, have a great day. Hopefully you guys will stay engaged, plug in, help us out, spread the word. We do not quite have the, first off, the Vermont media sources. They're not covering us because we can't quite buy the advertising like the multi-millionaire feel the burn from the burn with all that donation money. But we're actually getting a lot of attention across all 14 counties. People are really starting to dive in and get involved and actually ask some outstanding questions of why are we just always pitching this far left and we're not coming at it with a little more common sense and utilizing some updated technologies out there that are far less costly, a lot more efficient, very scalable, and bring us right into the 21st century and beyond. So on that pitch, on my Buzz Lightyear pitch, the 22nd century and beyond, hope to hear from you. Please make some comments. Try not to, we do not encourage people to get into the, let's just say, the more creative adjectives. And we would like to maintain a civil process of discussing this going forward. So have a great day, and we hope to hear from the 14 counties and the new presentations that are coming up. And March 23rd, 2019 at the State House, 9 a.m. to noon. Hope to see you there. Have a great day.